There was once a man who spent many years visiting people during the darkest seasons of their lives. Friends often asked him, "When someone has suffered a great loss, what do you say?" He would answer, "I have learned that the older I become, the fewer words I use." One day he was called to visit a family whose little child had passed away. As he walked toward their home, he searched for the right words. Surely there must be something wise enough, something comforting enough, something capable of easing such sorrow. But the closer he came to the front door, the more he realized he had none. He entered quietly. He sat beside the parents. For a long while no one spoke. Finally the father looked at him and said, "You don't have to explain this." The old man nodded. "I wasn't going to." There are burdens in this life that cannot be explained. There are losses so profound that language seems too small to carry them. When we encounter such sorrow, we often feel pressure to say something meaningful. We search for answers. We search for reasons. We search for words that might somehow make the unbearable a little lighter. Yet perhaps our greatest mistake is believing that every wound requires an explanation. Some wounds simply require another human being who is willing to remain, to sit, to listen, to cry, to acknowledge that what has happened is unimaginably hard. There is great kindness in refusing to rush another person's grief. Not every silence needs to be filled. Not every tear needs to be stopped. Not every question has an answer that can satisfy the heart. If you know someone caring for a child whose needs may never end, or someone whose child is no longer here, you may be wondering what you should say. Perhaps you begin by admitting what is true. "I don't know what words could possibly be enough. I cannot imagine how heavy this must be. I don't have answers, but I don't want you to carry this day alone." Those words may seem simple, but they possess something many clever speeches lack. They are honest. The desire to fix another person's pain often comes from love, but some pain cannot be fixed. It can only be shared. And while sharing does not remove the burden, it often removes a measure of the loneliness. So if today you find yourself standing beside someone whose suffering is beyond your understanding, do not worry so much about finding perfect words. Your presence may speak more loudly than anything you could say. A hand upon a shoulder, a quiet visit, a meal left at the door, a phone call weeks later after everyone else has stopped calling. These things often become the kindnesses people remember. For in the end, few people remember every sentence spoken during their darkest days. But they almost always remember who stayed, who returned, who did not disappear when life became too painful to explain. And perhaps that is one of the greatest gifts we can give another human being. Not an explanation, not a solution, simply the assurance that, even in the deepest sorrow, they do not have to walk entirely alone.